Starting off Parshas Lech Lecha, but before we go into Lech Lecha, there's something I'd like to discuss. If everyone could please open to page 37. We have on page 37 something very, very interesting coming up right here, right at the end of the Parsha of Bereshis. Page 37, verse 5 on your page there, right at the end of Bereshis. See verse 5? Mm-hmm. This was 10 generations after Adam, after the first man, and mankind had progressively become more and more wicked. Actually, the Torah goes through who was the inventor of weaponry. And people had begun stealing, killing, serving idolatry. And here we see, God saw how great was man's wickedness on earth, and that every impulse of the thoughts of his heart was only for evil all day long. So we see that God saw that man has this evil, the will to do bad, the evil inclination, is part of the human condition. And therefore, verse 6, God was comforted by the fact that he had created humanity as earthly beings, and in his heart, so to speak, God decided to grieve. That he regretted, he was grieving, and he changed from his decision of the fact that he had made humanity on earth, and his heart was pained. So over here we see what happened, that God saw that humanity has, to a certain extent, evil within them, and therefore they do all this wickedness. They do bad. Not only do they rebel against God, but they also rebel against each other. They fight against each other. They harm each other. So therefore, God says, I regret having made them, and I'm going to wipe them out. And that's the introduction, really, to Parashas Noach about the great flood. And God goes ahead and wipes everyone out. So
that was a question I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that God regretted giving man free will?
That's a fantastic question. I'd love to actually discuss that at 7:45. I'd love to have a group discussion. That would be a fantastic point. That's actually a very deep question. So that's the introduction to Parashas Noach. We have the flood. Everyone knows about the flood. Mankind is wiped out besides for Noach and his family. And then, changing over to page 53. Let's fast forward past the entire flood. The entire world is wiped out by now, taking us to verse 20 on page 53. Everyone got it? So now, Noach, after he came out of the ark, and he found that he had of each species, one male and one female, but out of the kosher species, he had 7 of each. So he realized there must be some use for them. It's to bring a sacrifice to Hashem. So, just reading the bold, Noach built an altar to Hashem. He took some of every type of domestic animal that is not Tomei, meaning the kosher ones, and every type of bird that is not Tomei, the kosher ones, and he offered them up as an offering on the altar. Now see what happens. God, so to speak, smelled the pleasing fragrance, which, as our sages say, means that he saw Noach's dedication, because reach nichoyach, the words in Hebrew for a pleasing fragrance, are etymologically connected to the words nachas ruach. You know, someone says, oh, you should have a lot of nachas from your kids. It means a pleasant spirit from the fact that Hashem's will was done, that Noach had dedicated himself as opposed to all the wicked people, and done something good, done something objectively good for Hashem. And in response, God said to himself, I will never again curse the soil because of humanity, for the inclination of a person's heart is evil from his earliest youth. Never again will I strike down all life as I have. So, what do we see over here? This time round, Hashem says, because man has the need to do evil inside of him, see, a person's heart is challenged by evil from his earliest youth, therefore, I won't strike them down. You know why? Because it's not really fair. Hashem says, I made people with the evil inclination. I made people with a desire to do wrong. So therefore, what can I expect of them already? I'm not going to destroy them because they do bad. Because it happens. People are people. I made them with the evil inside of them, and they did bad. Does anyone see the problem over here?
I'm sorry, what?
Does anyone see the issue of what we discussed?
Yeah, what was he expecting? Like he's surprised?
So over here we have something very, very
You
strange.
would think he wouldn't be surprised. You would think he would understand that was the comment.
Of course, the whole thing is the Torah speaks in the Hebrew, Torah dibra b'lashon bnei adam. The Torah speaks in human analogy. The word for that in English is anthropomorphism.
Yeah.
That we ascribe human traits to God. So everything with God saying, thinking, those are all human terms. Expecting, not expecting, he can see the future. He made the future. He lives beyond time. It's all in order to teach us a lesson.
He created what he had. He created, like he said, he created evil thoughts in their
Exactly, correct.
minds.
No, it was the snake that enticed Eve to take the apple and also feed it to Adam.
Yeah, we have a good
That's-
point.
so
Only
I think that's
after,
where it started.
only after that was the first sin, and after that, humankind had bad inside of them because they ate from the tree of good and bad. Therefore, they now lowered themselves to a world where good and bad have to coexist. What are you going to say, Bruce?
You brought this up last week about the creation and stuff existed with intention, not physically. So there's this phrase that God looked into the Torah and created the world.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
that is a very difficult phrase to understand.
Mhm.
But within this context, you go, God looked in the Torah and this is the world He created, and He's surprised.
Exactly. So we have a big problem over here. The first verses we just read from Bereshit say God saw that man was evil, and therefore, because people have bad inside of them, well, they're no good. Let's cancel this whole human experiment and kill them all. People have to be destroyed because they have bad inside of them. This verse in Noach says, well, people have bad inside of them, therefore, we can't have such big expectations, and we can't really punish them, so I'll never again destroy the world.
And that's where he went wrong. Because first the point, and that's where he went wrong, because I think right now we need him to destroy a lot of the world.
We have a very, very strange thing. We have the same logic with two opposite conclusions. The first time he says, because humankind is rotten, therefore we should destroy them. Then in Noach he says, because humankind is rotten, therefore we should be merciful. And we shouldn't really expect much from them, and we shouldn't harm them. Isn't that strange?
He created mankind to do what they were doing.
To have the choice to do or not do what they were doing.
Yeah.
But do you see the issue over here? We have exactly the same logic. The logic is man is evil in his heart. And therefore, we had a few pages ago, we should destroy them. And therefore, we have on this page that we should be merciful to them. Isn't that very strange? So the only difference between before and after is over here. First, Noach had brought a sacrifice. First, he brought a sacrifice that caused pleasure to Hashem, and then he gave the merciful verdict. Now, what does that mean? Is that bribery? That would be very silly. If Hashem liked sacrifices, instead of bringing a flood, he should have burnt down the Sahara or something. Could have a giant barbecue. It's a lesson. It's a lesson for us. Something very important. When we see something, for example, we see, like Hashem saw here, that man is evil in his heart. For example, we see someone doing wrong, doing something that's objectively wrong, doing something wrong to us, doing something wrong to others. What is our conclusion from that? Is it, like it said in Bereshit, that his evil is bad, and therefore his a lost cause, terrible, it should be destroyed? Or, like it says in Noach, this person's doing bad, therefore we should be merciful on them, we should realize that they have a struggle, they have an issue, that we have to not only not destroy them, meaning something you can destroy someone by being sharp, by being aggressive, by telling them off in public. Instead, we should be merciful to them. That's the question. And the answer is, the key to this is the fact that Noach brought a sacrifice. Before he brought a sacrifice, God was looking at this from a perspective of judgment, from a perspective of severity, from a perspective of being strict. It says that sages teach us that Hashem wanted to create the world from a strict perspective, from literally this means the attribute of severity. He saw that the world wouldn't be able to exist, so he mixed with it the attribute of mercy. When we look at someone else, we can look at them, we have the choice to be people who look at things with a strict perspective or a merciful perspective or a kind perspective. And the real difference is whether we like that person. So let's say over here, Hashem's looking at the world in a strict perspective. As soon as Noach brought a sacrifice, Hashem said, you know what? I'm going to start looking at this situation of humankind from a merciful perspective. And then all of a sudden, instead of humankind being evil, being bad, having bad inside of themselves, being a reason to destroy them, now suddenly it's a reason to say, well, I guess they need help. Let me give you an example of this. Before we get an example, let's talk about what that would look like. What does a sacrifice mean to us? I was once by a convention. It was by a convention in Crown Heights. It was for college kids who were affiliated with Chabad. And I was helping with a tefillin stand. You had all the kids coming through to the breakfast area, and right outside they put a tefillin stand. Whoever wanted to put on tefillin could put it on. And it was a great day. It was fantastic. Most of the kids who came past put on tefillin. It was beautiful. There was one guy who I wasn't even sure what he was doing. He had a lanyard. He was somehow affiliated with the convention. He didn't look like a rabbi. He didn't look like a student. I don't know what he was doing there. And he just stood there in the hallway where we were, of all places, just making snide remarks. Just non-stop. Just being annoying for the sake of it. And I was genuinely, besides for being annoyed, ticked off. I was confused. I'm like, doesn't this guy have, what's he doing here? Doesn't have anything better to do than stand in a hallway? Like, there's food in the next room. Like, you can go. What are you doing here? Just annoying us.
I wonder if the world would be boring if there wasn't good and evil.
Definitely would. So then this guy standing there, his breath really smelled. It was terrible. He was obviously a smoker. And he was just driving us crazy and criticizing everything we were doing. And then, eventually, I asked him what his name is. Turns out, he's my cousin by marriage. Now, I started, instead of being annoyed, I think, oh, this is interesting. Instead of this guy annoying me, it's like, I like the way he's acting. It's interesting the way he's acting. The guy had the chutzpah to turn around and tell me, now you know you're my cousin, you're going to have to stop annoying me. It's like, excuse me. Anyhow, I learned something very important that day. The moment I found out he was my cousin, my perspective changed. From instead of looking at him as like a nudnik, I looked at him as a guy with an interesting personality.
But why?
Instead of crazy, I looked at him as eccentric. You know the difference between crazy and eccentric, yeah?
I have a story similar to that. When I went to Israel, I had a second or third cousin, whatever he was, who was in Israel. I had written to him, gave him my picture, and told him when I was coming. I get off the plane, and here's this disgusting looking guy, long hair, beard, robes. I was like, who the hell is he? He's going like this to all the girls. And I'm going, oh my God, what a weirdo. And all of a sudden he comes to me, he goes, cuz! And look at him and says, huh? I'm your cousin. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful.
That's great. That's great. You guys ever heard the expression, a face only a mother could love? You would think if someone has such a face, their mother won't love it, no one will love it. But the reason is, once you have a perspective of kindness towards someone, automatically all the lines are changed. The way you read it, if a kid looks very ugly, let's say they look objectively ugly, let's use a harsh term, their mother will love them for their looks, not despite their looks, for their looks. They'll love the fact that they look just like that. Because when you're looking at someone with a kind perspective, that completely changes the result of the fact. The mother knows that this kid has 18 pimples on the end of their nose, the same as everyone else. They know the fact, they're not blind, but they translate the facts differently. And this is a lesson for us. Just like Hashem first translated the fact that humankind is evil to be a reason to destroy them. But then, when they went, Noach gave an offering and did something that, let's say, woke up the kind side, did something that would shift the balance to the side of kindness, then Hashem's going to say, you know what? I'm going to look from a perspective of mercy. And therefore, the same fact that mankind is evil is a reason not to destroy them, because they can't have such high expectations. And same thing with us. We can look at every situation. And in general, we can be people who have an approach to life, to others, to everything we go through one of the three paths: kindness, severity, or mercy. Kindness means always looking to give. So someone who's looking at things through the perspective of kindness will be, for example, handing out donations to everyone who asks. You're looking for a children's hospital? I'll give you a donation. You're looking for the Jihad Society? Give you a donation, no problem. Kindness is just giving to everyone.
Chesed.
Chesed, beautiful.
Chesed, okay.
Then we have the other, that's the right side.
Yeah.
You know a bit of Kabbalah? Here we go.
I thought you were heading that way. Okay.
So
Go ahead.
we're going, on the other hand, you have the left side, severity. This is everyone who comes over for a donation, you ask them for an audit. You ask them for an audit, you ask them for the information, you want to make sure every cent's being used correctly, and just to be sure, you make sure not to donate, because you never know, it might go wrong. Or let's give a different situation. Let's say you're walking down the street and the person driving in front of you is going very slowly. Someone who's coming from a perspective of kindness, they say, okay, don't worry, I'll go slowly also, I'll go behind them. And that could be, if it's someone, maybe very elderly who's driving, who's having trouble driving, or someone who has a flat, it could be very nice of you. Or it could be just someone who's going very slowly, because for whatever reason, it doesn't matter the reason, but now you start holding up more traffic, you start a jam.
Because they're idiots.
That could be why.
Inconsiderate.
That could be why. Then, severity would be, if you're driving behind someone, you're on the I-95, and they're going slowly, start honking, beeping, get right up on their tail, give them a little nudge over there. It doesn't matter any reason, no excuses. This is the highway, you must be going to 65. Then there's the third part, that's the right and left. That's kindness, which sometimes is too kind, and severity, which sometimes is too strict. They both have times, they both have uses, neither are good or bad, it just depends when. Then you have the middle path, you have balance, which that is mercy. Mercy means to give mercy, to be kind to those who deserve it. With the donor, he'll weigh up every charity. He probably won't give anything to the Jihad Foundation. He probably will give to the Children's Hospital if he believes that they're responsible with their money. And they give, but he decides who really needs it the most. Well, let's give another example. The guy driving down the highway, if he's driving behind someone, he's not going to start honking because, maybe it's someone here who's, that maybe they have a flat. Maybe it's someone very elderly who's worried about going too fast. But you're not going to hold up traffic. You're not going to, you just pass them, okay? Keep your cool and pass. And maybe when you're going past, you ask them if they need some help if they're going that slowly. That's mercy. Mercy means taking the middle path and saying, I'm going to be kind to those who need kindness. So that's how we can go about our lives. We can choose any of those three paths to approach people with. Most people, for some reason, the most important things in life, their mind and their feelings, they don't put any thought into. For some reason, I find that people put a lot of thought into actions and into very physical-oriented things. Their football team, their job, their entertainment, their fishing set. But when it comes to who they are, how they interact with others, what their beliefs are, for some reason that gets thought about, maybe once a year at Yom Kippur they think about it.
So Chesed, Geburah.
And Tiferes is the middle path.
Tiferes.
There we go.
This is a difficult word for me because as you're describing it, I'm thinking of Rachmanis.
That's exactly it. Yeah, Rachamim is the same as Tiferes.
Is it? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Beautiful. So,
Isn't Rachmanis generosity?
it's a bit different than generosity. I'd say more specifically, Rachmanis is when you have mercy to someone, you
That's
feel
something
bad for
That's
someone.
something God
Yeah, have a bit of Rachmanis means like,
Don't
give him
react.
the easy time, have some mercy on him. Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember my parents using
Gentleness
I
is the.
remember my parents using that term very often.
Yeah, here's a Rachmanis case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a little Rachmanis. So that,
Yes.
I tend to think
Have a
it's
sympathy, almost
it
like
was
have a little
sort of-
sympathy
Sort
for
of
that
felt like
person.
pity a little bit, but it was nicer than
I
pity.
haven't heard,
No, like sympathy.
I haven't heard that word in probably 60 years.
But sympathy
maybe
for
more.
that person who's having.
There we go. Sympathy,
a problem.
pity.
Is that a
These are good
Yiddish
words.
word?
Rachmanis is a Hebrew word that got incorporated into Yiddish. So it's originally Hebrew, but everyone speaking Yiddish uses it. It's a lot of Yiddish.
Yeah, because my mother spoke Yiddish because of her mother.
Mhm. There we go. Yiddish is a beautiful language. So I think this lesson, this part of the Torah, I think Hashem, the whole story is to teach us a lesson. I think it's here to teach us. Do we want to be people who go around being the kind person, just giving to everyone and everything? Giving doesn't just mean money. It means our time, our attention, our feelings. Doesn't mean we want to be the strict one, standing online in CVS asking to see the manager. Or do we want to be the merciful one, the Rachmanis, the sympathetic one? Beautiful word right there.
This
It's a tough call.
this has actually some right. So, as has been explained to me, we're accountable in the end for what we've done here, and we will be judged accordingly. And part of the measures is how we have judged others is how we will be judged. And to use an example that Lahavdil, it's just a metaphor. But as somebody says, you know, when you show up on Judgment Day, okay, you're gonna be shown a film clip and Hashem's gonna ask you, how would you judge this person? And as it turns out, it's a film of you. So, you will be judged according to your own decree.
You think Hashem is into all technology already?
Again, it's a metaphor.
I just feel bad for the person halfway through who says this is a boring movie.